I guess we're gonna get back onto this whole Valorant anti-cheat thing that's going on, because I keep hearing like all sorts of yeah, there's plenty of reasons to talk about Riot at the moment, but I keep hearing stuff about, Valorant anti-cheat, and I've been covering it right from the start. First it was going to be the most pioneering, revolutionary anti-cheat of all time. Then the game was riddled with cheaters on day one. Then Riot said, no, don't worry, it's just a skeleton, it'll be way better when the game starts. It's not as bad as it was in beta, but there are still a ton of cheaters in Valorant, by all accounts. And, they seem to be quick to ban them, which is great. But one thing that worries me is, because there's this, weirdo fucking cunt out there. I can't remember his name. It's like anti-cheat PD or something. And basically, for whatever reason, Riot Games have decided to partner up with this dude, and he's just a weirdo, and he just they just fucking, they make it out like what they're doing is mad sophisticated when it's just a snitch Discord. And they sort of feed reports through a Riot, who then have to investigate. But he popped off at me one time because he said I didn't know what I was talking about when it came to cheats. The reporter that has actually found private cheats being used in competitive scenes and exposed them, decompiled them, found out what they did, how they worked, exposed them, sent them to developers, and still does stuff like that just on the lowdown on the QT. If I gain access, a lot of people send me builds of cheats, I pass them on. Yeah, so he said I don't know what I'm talking about. And he definitely does with a snitch Discord. No indication of any sophisticated coding background or being a maths genius or something, just a dude with a snitch Discord, basically. So yeah, weirdo. But anyway, for whatever reason, Riot want to work with him, which says to me maybe you don't even have the fucking situation under control at all. Because I wouldn't, if I wouldn't externally use help from a weirdo, especially if I was one of the wealthiest games development companies in the world. So you probably don't need that guy, really, if you're competent, But anyway. So there are a lot of rumors been going around. I don't know if you remember, for example, there was that girl who got accused of cheating because, Wardell watched a fucking jittery Facebook video and said, there's absolute proof, look, she's cheating. And then Riot came and did an investigation and said, nah, she's not cheating. But, only after her life had been ruined and she received loads of death threats and loads of threats of violence and God knows what else. So it was right about that time where Riot sort of said, if anyone high profile is suspected of cheating, let us know. And then there was something that came out the other day with a player where they said, it was that Ninja stuff, if you remember, where Ninja's team, got knocked out by a not as famous team, and the people who were running the tournament watched one clip and said, "Yep, we're gonna disqualify him, get him out." And then in the statement put out by the org that player played for, they said, I've been cleared by Riot like 3 times. So suddenly, I start, like, because I put things together. I see a big picture, It's hard to believe. But, incidents all happening in a space pertaining to a pastime or a sport or a hobby or whatever. They're probably related. You probably can link them. Especially when it's like one of the parties involved in all of the happenings is the same. You can build up what I call the big picture. I like it. I like the big picture. And so I've been looking at that. And one of the things that worries me a lot is that while there is obviously some mechanical thing in place, when it comes to the competitive aspect, it looks to me that Riot Games are basically banning on people looking at your account and making a determination. And there was a high-profile incident, before I get into the incident, that would be unacceptable. I know people cry about VAC not being good enough, despite it being still one of the most sophisticated anti-cheats ever made. And yes, bypassable, absolutely. Yeah, of course, almost like any anti-cheat software would be. And Valve, because they think in futuristic terms, they're trying to get ahead of that, and they think the way to combat it, probably is quite rightly, is through AI learning. So I know a lot of people cry about it. So what would be worse than an anti-cheat that's ineffective is developers just looking at players and saying, yep, I think he's cheating. Ban him. Don't ban him. Don't ban her. Because now you open the door to favoritism, and you open the door to inconsistency. You open the door to bias. You open the door to injustice. And these things are not good. We don't like these things, especially where competitive integrity is involved. So I already had that percolating in my mind as being, this is going to be something that's going to, this is going to be an issue in Valorant moving forward. And lo and behold, and I'll use Rod's tweet for this because, give Rod some shine. Well, all he does is tweet, so, but they came out and they banned someone, and someone pretty high profile, a guy called Nize, who was supposedly cheating in a rank match and got banned for 12 months from all official Riot competitions. And then you can see Rod, 12 months, is that it? Riot professes to take cheating seriously in Valorant, but when they actually catch someone, they give them a slap on the wrist. Not good enough. Nisei released a response, we're going to get to that, saying Riot Games banned him due to community pressure, not evidence. If this were truly how Riot handles cheating in Valorant, then surely they would have banned Nisao by now. This is a player who's allegedly, let's say, cheated in other games before and is allegedly cheating currently in Valorant. A lot of clips people say are dodgy. I don't do. Trial by public gallery. A false ban by Riot would look very bad for them. So, lots to just talk about there. Now, first up, 12 months. If you are absolutely confident, 100% in your methodology, and that if for any reason it was contested in a manner that required you to present that methodology public, I don't think you would have any problem issuing a perm ban. That is, by the way, the general standard developers go to. I've never liked it. I've never liked the idea of permanence just in general. I mean, ask that lady who put Gorilla Glue on her hair how she feels about permanence. It's not always a good thing. And so 12 months is, I don't know. It says two things to me. First of all, well, it says maybe multiple things. First thing it says, they are either not 100% confident in the ban, in the material they've used to arrive at the conclusion, or they believe 12 months is reasonable for someone who is cheating in their game, and that will be a benchmark moving forward. It also says to me that Riot Games are not going to adopt this idea of permanence. Once a cheater, always a cheater. Get them out, get them out, get them out. There will be a potential redemptive component to Riot Esports, which, as we know, that's in line with their ridiculous philosophy as it pertains to things like the tribunal and other, behavior assessments that they've had in League of Legends. The difference being, I like the idea of you saying, hey, you can cheat and you can still be a good person and a fair competitor in the future. Here's a ban. Don't do it again. The bans get more serious the more you do it. What I think is ridiculous is you, in the heat of the moment, while being trolled in a video game that wasn't a competitive game, was just ranked ladder play, you said a bad word or told someone to fuck off. We hold you to a higher standard because you're a pro. You now can't play professionally because of something you did in a pickup game. It would be like getting a suspension from the NBA for something you did on your local basketball court. It makes no sense to me. I don't approve of that. It's stupid. So, especially when it comes to it's only words, It's like, yeah, you told someone to fuck off. Yes, you're a pro player. So fucking what? So, anyway, it tells me that. It also tells me that they are going to have some sort of appeal or board or body involved in their esports, because it looks like a group of people have already assessed this. It wasn't done by the systems. It was done by a person who has made the determination that this individual was cheating. We don't know how they made this determination. They haven't said. But Riot Games have basically issued this. I think moving forward, the one thing Riot Games were good with in League of Legends, one of the things they were good with, was always putting out a statement, every time someone was banned. But because there isn't a league and therefore there isn't a commissioner and blah, 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 this is a bit more woolly. This is the very early stages of the competitive scene. Now, this is where it gets weird, because a lot of people have been calling out this guy for cheating. And Nisei actually reacted and basically said, I haven't cheated, which of course, as anyone who knows anything about cheating in competition will tell you, if you've already committed the sin of cheating, it goes without saying you will have to commit the sin of lying. They are a package deal. It's impossible to do one without the other, because then how would you ever be able to evade justice? A key component of cheating to gain an advantage is you aren't ever discovered and therefore penalized, because the victory that you earn would be rescinded. So the idea of the honest cheater, that's a strange phraseology that can't really work with me, because it would require you to say, oh yeah, I cheated, yeah, I did it, yeah. And then they go, oh, okay, well, we're overturning the result and take back your prize money. And you go, yeah, right, yeah. Wouldn't last very long. So he came out and he released this statement where he said, like, in all transparency, why don't you prove it? He's done a KNG. He said, prove it, except he didn't threaten to kill anyone. Lesson learnt for you there. KNG. But he's dropped to prove it, and he says he's got nothing to hide. So he's more than happy for Riot Games to explain how they arrived at this conclusion. Now, one of the things that I find frustrating, but understandably so, is developers saying, we have to hide behind our systems. We can't reveal them. We can't reveal our methods, because to do that will enable cheaters to bypass them. That's not what we want. It's counterproductive. So I understand it, but it is frustrating when they do it. Anyway, you can see here the official Valorant esports account for Turkey announced the ban, citing an official investigation by Riot Games. As a result, Gok was dropped by his team, Besiktas Esports, Besiktas being a very popular Turkish football club. and his contract has been terminated. In a Twitlonger response, which we have translated from Turkish, got called on Riot Games to provide evidence of the third-party software that proves he cheated. I personally think I'm being wronged, but I cannot do anything against a company like Riot. I request Riot to show me proof of the third-party software that detected what is cheating. Neither Riot nor the official Turkey account have provided specific details of GOK's offences. Curiously, GOK claims that the offending account hasn't even been banned from normal play, as would usually be the case if it was triggered by Valorant's Vanguard anti-cheat when that catches a cheater. Unfortunately, this is hardly the first time Pro Scene, cheaters, Spanish esports team, Movie Star Riders dropped Rapaz Triste, blah, 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 blah. So, I think moving forward, this is something that Riot are going to have to get a handle on. I'm very interested in the development of Valorant as an esport. I want it to succeed as an esport, not just because it's become a retirement home for so many of my friends, and I've got lots of people who I consider friends who are going to be involved with it on a broadcasting level and all that. You know, I can still hate Riot and bang on Riot all I want. But I can still also want Valorant to succeed as an ecosystem. So that's fair. But I'll say that it clearly hasn't been triggered by Vanguard. And now you've got a problem because you're going to have to come out, I think so anyway, and actually explain what does an investigation entail. Because I know enough about early League of Legends, because I was there, to remember you banned a player for life and said he would never play again because pros were saying he was DDoSing them in games, and the only evidence you had was in posting a Skype locator log in an after-game chat. That is woefully insufficient evidence. That is woefully insufficient. And that's what you were getting away with back at the start of League. And I'm seeing a little bit of history repeating itself. You know, seems to me that this has either been done on the eye test or gossip, chit-chat, and that's not good. And I'll make that assumption because there has been no other suggestion of any wrongdoing. You haven't even, if the account itself hasn't been banned, you rule out Vanguard straight away. Also brings into question, why didn't Vanguard get him? Why isn't this intrusive, incredible anti-cheat actually catching high-profile cheaters? Why is Riot having to come in after reports and assess whether or not a player is cheating? Shouldn't have it. You remember, you told us you built the most sophisticated anti-cheat. So if you have, then immediately you must put your faith in that anti-cheat. It shouldn't be a need. Like, I've said this before, I think, when I've been talking about, when I talked about that Ninja incident and the and that player who's, again, I can't remember his name, but that player who got disqualified and then brought back into the tournament and then they quit anyway. I said it then and I'll repeat it. You absolutely, if you have an anti-cheat software system, you have got to say the anti-cheat works, the anti-cheat didn't detect him, therefore he isn't cheating. You have to. There's no other way around it. There's no other way around it. You can't have it and then not use it. You yourself are undermining your own anti-cheat when you do this, when you make decisions like this, when you take action like this. So, I think it's pretty ridiculous for them to not justify public, or explain rather, as a justification for the ban.